Hello, viewers of iRadio on our Facebook page and social media. My name is Emmanuel Joseph Akile, and I'm the host of the Dawn program, one of the flagship programs of iRadio. Today we have come to the residence of Dr. LAM AKOL Jawin, a veteran politician, and he is the chair of the National Democratic Movement, one of the signatories to the Revitalized Peace Agreement. He's also one of the liberators as we are getting towards the 13th independence of South Sudan. Dr. LAM AKOL, thank you for accepting our request to have a brief conversation with you today.
Thank you very much for hosting me.
Yes. Now let's begin with the current political situation in the country. And our interest actually, Doctor, is in the Revitalized Peace Agreement. And we want to have your brief assessment as to where are we from the implementation, and also looking at what's expected to happen today from the high-level committee after they met yesterday. And they're expected actually to meet again and then present the final reports on the evaluation of the peace implementation to the principal. So I want to have your overall overview on the current status of the peace deal.
Well, thank you very much. You know, the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan was reached in 2018. So it is today almost 6 years. And the purpose of the agreement was to have a permanent ceasefire and usher the country into democracy through elections that should be done at the end of the transitional period, and have sustainable peace for the country. This is the main objective of the peace agreement. The peace agreement is made up of timelines. The activities that are in the peace agreement are tied with time schedule. Activity A must be implemented within this time. Activity B must be implemented within this time. And all these times add up to 3 years. Because of lack of political will, we were unable to implement these provisions on time. Even now we are discussing whether election will be held in December or not. The only reason is the provisions were not implemented. Election is a requirement of the peace agreement, and it was stipulated that election will be held 2 months before the end of the transitional period. So if everything went smoothly, if the provisions of the agreement were implemented in full, there would have been no discussion on whether there should be election or not. It becomes automatic because it is part of the agreement, and it is one of the timelines that has come in its time. So the discussion today is because of this failure to implement the agreement on time. In August last year, or 2 years ago, in 2022, the parties extended the transitional period for 2 more years. And the only reason given for that extension was that the prerequisites for the elections, that means the activities of the agreement that were supposed to be implemented before the elections, were not done. They still remain outstanding. And therefore they said we needed 2 more years so that we can implement those things and then go for elections. This was their promise in August 2022. As we speak, a small fraction of the peace agreement has been implemented. Very small fraction.
What do you mean by a small fraction? Like, what are you referring to? What are some of the provisions?
Well, the committee you refer to, the high-level standing committee, made an evaluation of the status of the implementation of the peace agreement, and they classified them into those completed, those in ongoing or impending, and those who are pending, those who have not been done at all. And their conclusion is that a very small fraction has been done. Okay, they will tell you in their report. So, and we are convinced it doesn't even need an evaluation from the high-level standing committee to know that we have not implemented most of the provisions. So, this is where the problem is. We have not implemented the provisions of the peace agreement. So one party says, despite that, we must go for elections. Another party says, no, we must implement these things first before we go for elections. That is the impasse. That is the challenge facing the country.
But there are many parties in the agreement. Why are you already referring to two parties?
Well, there are two points of view. There are 2 points of view from these parties so far. Those who went on this side, I call them a party.
A party, okay.
Those who went on this side, I call them a party.
Right.
Yeah. So one group, let us say, if you don't want to use the word party, one group says we must go for elections regardless of whether we have implemented those things or not. Another party says, no, we cannot go for elections until we implement all the provisions, because this is what the agreement says. This is a stalemate. This is an impasse which the country must get out from. Up to now, people are uncertain what will happen, you know. So our party, the NDM, has put forward a position since August last year that we need dialogue. This agreement was signed by us. So if it is to be changed, it must be by us.
So according for
the same way, the same way they made the extension in August 2022, it was because they sat down and discussed and agreed that they should go for extension. So this time also we should sit down and discuss and hear the 2 points of view. Those who say that election must be done without implementing the provisions of the peace agreement, let them tell us why. We need to ignore the provisions of the agreement. Those who say that the election should not be held until we implement all the provisions should also tell us what is the guarantee that these provisions will be implemented by another extension. The extension that was done in August 2022 produced nothing except one thing, that was the formation of the 3 election-related bodies: the National Election Commission, the Political Parties Council, and the National Constitutional Review Commission. This is the only achievement they did in 2 years. So what is the guarantee that another extension will improve things? Also, we need to hear from them. And then we discuss all these to come at a consensus. So what we said, that there should be dialogue. And not only that, we went further and we said there are certain activities that can be done now.
To have 5 months
before. No, 17 months at that time.
No, in August last year.
Yeah, we had 17 months. There were things we said can be implemented before December 2024. The only thing that need dialogue were actually 2, which is the election, the constitution making process, and the census, which required 24 months according to the agreement. So by that time, if we had agreed 17 months ago, if there would have been any extension, it may have been for 7 months if people agreed that these things must be done before time.
Now let's talk about the reality.
So, yes, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. That we said, let us do this, and therefore we need dialogue. And we talked to all the parties that this dialogue is important. But up to now, there is no dialogue.
Inter-party dialogue?
Yeah, up to now, there has never been an inter-party dialogue, and yet people continue to insist on their positions on what to do. One group says election must be done, the other group says no, election cannot be done. This cannot be an atmosphere for a peaceful, democratic, free and fair election. It is only dialogue that can resolve this stalemate. Regarding the high-level standing committee, it is a government organ given the task of following up the implementation of the peace agreement.
Yeah.
So what they can do is only to evaluate what they have done and what they have not done.
Which you said your people already know about what happened.
What they have done and what they have not done, and they will give it to the government, that instituting them in the first place, and the government will share it with the other parties. They have no mandate to discuss what to do.
The committee?
Yeah, it is the work of the parties that signed the peace agreement, and that can amend the agreement.
So what's next as we speak now? And we have 5 months, Dr. LAM AKOL, and if you've been calling for inter-party dialogue, what are you taking to the dialogue as the position of NDM in case the dialogue happens tomorrow?
First of all, we are insisting for the dialogue to take place. Yeah, and that dialogue must be very frank to discuss. Is it possible to hold elections in December this year? If not, then what do we need to do in order to have election? Because election is a must, is a requirement of the peace agreement. And keep in mind that the people of South Sudan have not voted since South Sudan became independent, which is now almost 14 years. So we are saying, let us discuss what needs to be done by the people, and we reach a consensus. Our position is what I'm telling you, that we think that there are certain things that can be done before December, and there are certain things that need dialogue to agree on whether it is possible to do them or not. And now by 17 months, when it was 17 months left, it was easy to reason like that. Now with 5 months left, it become more difficult to insist that you can have election in December.
Now, if the dialogue is to happen now, what do you think can be implemented within these 5 months to elections? What do you think can be implemented?
It is not my decision. It is a decision of the parties. They are the ones who will say what can be implemented and what cannot be implemented.
So there's no position of NDM?
The list the NDM gave for implementable provisions 17 months ago is now shorter than what it used to be when it is 5 months left. Yeah, because there were things that can be implemented in 6 or 7 months, and now with 5 months left, it cannot be done. Yeah.
And you've been calling for the dialogue, and it's not happening since last year, like you said, Dr. LAM AKOL.
Yeah.
So what's the way forward here now? Now it looks
There's
like
no
the government is listening.
The way forward is
listening.
The way forward is to have the dialogue. There is no way one party can decide what to do or what not to do. This is an agreement between all of us, the party to the peace agreement. It is us who sign it. It is us who can amend it. It is us who need to take it forward. There is no alternative to inter-party dialogue.
Now, this brings me to, we cross to Nairobi and talk about the Tumini initiative, and I would like to have your view on the ongoing peace talks there since May this year, and still many of the holdout groups are in talks with the government there in Nairobi, mediated by the Kenyan government, dubbed as Tumini initiative. What's your say on the ongoing discussions there in general?
Well, to be honest, of course, I don't know exactly the objective, I mean, and the background to the Tumini initiative. What I know I get from the press. At one time, the Minister of Presidential Affairs announced that the President has written a letter to the President of Kenya to to transfer the talks between the government and the holdout groups from Rome to Nairobi. I got this from the media. And then later on, as things developed, a delegation was formed and they went to Nairobi. The next thing I also saw in the media was the launching of the process by the President of Kenya. I think it was around the 9th of May. And that is it. The progress of the talks is controversial. One time you read a document and then it is denied by the people who are supposed to have written it. And then you see another document which suggests a kind of agreement. And then the parties say, no, this is not the final proposal. And then we see the first vice president expressing a view on what is going on in Tumini and so on. So in all fairness, I am not qualified to give an opinion about what is going on in Tumini because I'm not well abreast of it.
Now let me bring you a little bit back to the high-level committee here in Juba. I want to know whether NDM is part of the committee.
We are, because we are part of SOA, and so I have 3 representatives in the committee.
Now talking about SOA, and you are the SG of SOA, Dr. AKOL, I want to understand, because we are receiving different views, that there are some calls for elections within SOA since the chairperson has been there for some time. So what is really happening within SOA as we speak?
Well, we call for election. It is true. SOA called for elections, and it was when we made our statement in February this year, which means 5 months ago.
Is there any division among the SOA, among the parties? Is there any disagreement or division
no,
among the SOA?
All the parties of SOA met. We met on the 24th of February, and we agreed on our position on the elections. And our position is exactly the following. We said, let us aim at elections in December 2024. But we are aware that there are provisions that can be implemented before then, and there are provisions that cannot be implemented before then, and therefore we need inter-party dialogue. This is the position of SOA.
Yes.
We gave it to the president on the 26th of February. Yeah.
Any response so far? Any response from the office of the president on that?
No, we met the president. He was appreciative of our position when we met him.
Yes. Now, some MPs in the parliament representing your party, NDM, have been calling for nullification or rejection or review of the $75,000 from the political parties council as a fee for registration of the party. I want you to make any clarification on that.
It's not the MPs, it is us, the leadership of the NDM and 13 other political parties. We wrote a petition to the political parties council on the 25th of March this year, protesting against this fee on 2 counts. The first count is that it is in a foreign currency, and the political parties council is a government institution. It must deal in the South Sudanese pound. That is one.
Okay.
Secondly, it is too high in the sense that the fees that are in the regulations are the last party to register paid 20,000 South Sudanese pound. And principally, it is based on no document. It is not legal, because the Political Parties Act says that the fees to be paid by political parties must be based on regulations. And the regulations, that is there now, because you know that in any law, if you have not changed that law, it continues to be in force. The regulation that we have now are the 2015 regulations, which says you pay 20,000 SSP. They did not change that provision, you know. So on what ground did they impose such an exorbitant fee? So now they did not respond to us for a full month. So on the 25th of April, our lawyer wrote to the Minister of Justice, because he is the chief legal advisor of the government.
The lawyer of NDM.
The lawyer of the 14 parties.
14 parties.
Yeah. We wrote to the minister informing him that we intend to sue the political parties council in 7 days. Also, this is a requirement, because when you go to court, the court will ask you, did you exhaust other possibilities of solution? Then we would have said, yes, we wrote a petition, this is it. There was no response. We informed the minister and so on. So we informed the minister. The minister responded to us that according to law, he made a long argument about law. And he said, these fees are null and void. Okay? Now, this is the legal advisor of the government that says this. And the act of the ministry in Article 18.1 says that the advice or decision of the Minister of Justice is binding on all government institutions, and it is not appealable against. So this is a chairperson of the political parties council who is resisting the opinion of the legal advisor of the government. What is even funny is that he went to a private firm, you know, to seek legal advice from that firm, and then he wrote to the minister to reverse his decision. And this is a violation of Article 18.1 that I told you about. Yeah, you cannot reverse the decision of the minister. So we have a chairperson of the political parties council that acts on his own outside government. Okay. So Parliament now, when you talk of Parliament, we are taking this matter to Parliament. Yeah.
When are you taking it to Parliament?
It was raised the day before yesterday. Yeah.
Any response from the Parliament so far?
Yeah, no, it was what they call a
motion?
A special provision of a statement. So one of our members rose and said he has a statement, and he gave that statement. And in fact, the minister was there, and this is where we came to know that the chairman of the political parties council had gone to a private firm so to change the opinion of the minister. So
Dr. Lam, he was with me in the studio this morning on the dawn, the chairperson of the political parties council. Now let me take you back a little bit on the issue of the money, I mean the fee. The argument from the chairperson is that it is equivalent to that amount of US dollar, but it's payable in pound, because he's arguing that looking at the value of the SSP, because it keeps on depreciating. So the money is being paid 75,000 US dollars, but then that is the value of in dollar, but it's paid in pound. They don't receive.
That's a frivolous.
They don't receive any dollar.
It is a frivolous argument. It is a frivolous argument in the sense that the law is clear. It says you pay 75,000 US dollar or equivalent. So what is the primary thing? The primary is what is written in the law, isn't it? One. Two, what is his supporting document to impose that fee?
They said they had their own regulations
Where
in
is
the party, and there was a quorum.
Where is the regulation? It's not there. We went there to look for the only one they gave us is the one of 2015. Okay? Now, you say that this thing fluctuates. All the laws of the country provide in SSP. Even the Political Parties Act, when they talk of punishment to parties, when they do certain things, they are supposed to pay a certain amount of money. It's written in SSP.
Is NDM registered? Is NDM registered as a political party?
If we are registered, why are we talking about the fees? It is because we wanted the registration. This is why we came across this obstacle.
So do you
that
think
we must pay this amount of money.
Do you think it's in a way it's a kind of trying to push back or to make it difficult for?
It's an obstruction. Not only that, he said a few days ago that now any party that has not registered on the 30th of June will not contest election. Is that his prerogative? It is not him who says who should contest or not. It is him to say this party has registered or has not registered. But whether it goes for election or not, it is a decision of the National Election Commission.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want to finally conclude our discussion with you, Dr. LAM AKOL. Next week on the 9th, we're going to mark 13 years as an independent country, 9th of July. And I want you to reflect back briefly on the struggle as one of the liberators, people who contributed in the struggle or the liberation of South Sudan. Can you briefly reflect back on the journey that brought about or gave birth to the Republic of South Sudan?
Well, the journey was long, was difficult, was done by all, not only those who were carrying the arms, also the population who were feeding us, the population who were providing us their children, the people abroad who were advocating for our cause, the churches who were praying for us. It is a struggle that involved all of us. And the struggle had objectives and aspirations. We were thinking how we change things in Sudan, if Sudan were to remain united, or what to do if we get an independent South Sudan. And these objectives and aspirations center around, providing a society where everybody is respected, a society where people get services, a society where the communities are united in their quest to promote their country. A country that is respected regionally and internationally. A country that exploits its natural resources to the service of its people, and so on. These were the aspirations we had in mind. Thank God, with the struggle of the South Sudanese and their unanimous vote to have the state of their own, we have a country now called South Sudan. But what have we done? We are now, as you said, we are going to mark the 13th anniversary of independence. Let us take stock. What did we achieve? Apart from raising the flag and singing the national anthem and having a coat of arms for South Sudan, our institutions remain fragile. Our economy is tattered. Our unity is suffering a lot of strains. Our community got divided because we dragged our people into war twice, in 2013 and 2016. The effects of those wars are still with us today. The peace agreement tried to correct that or provide a beginning for the corrections, but we are not implementing it, and that's why we are still debating. As I told you before, there is a lot of uncertainty of how to go forward. So we are happy to have our 13th anniversary, but it is a subdued occasion for us. When we should have been happy, and we should have been, boasting that, we have done this, we have done that. Our enemies who were saying that, these people will do nothing, they will fight among themselves, we tend to prove them right, which is not what a nationalist will hope for. So we cling to our country. We cling to our country. At the same time, we strive to change things. Things must change in South Sudan in order to get back to the cause of what the movement fought for, and what previous movement also fought for, is the prosperity of our people. We did not just want to get an independent state and continue with the same policies that were there in Sudan. This could not have been what many martyrs paid their life for. They died in order to provide a better future for those who will survive. And this is what we will cling on. We need to work hard to see that the situation changes from the abysmal way it is now to a better country for all of us in South Sudan.
Many of them are saying they have almost lost, or they lost hope actually in the current leaders, especially in the unity government, because of the transitional government every now and then signing agreements without implementation. What would you tell them really as one of the leaders, and also a message to the unity government, so that people can gain trust of their leaders?
They are right, because the impression now is that we want to continue in power indefinitely. You know that the pre-transitional period was supposed to be 8 months. It became 17 months and 10 days, more than double. The transitional period was supposed to be 3 years. It became 5 years, and it's still counting. So they have the right to suspect that the leaders want to cling to power through endless extension. Now, the only thing we tell them is for us to prove. I have been telling my colleagues that we must prove to the people that we are not for, endless extension to keep us in power. And that's why we must dialogue. It is only through dialogue that we will take decisions as to how to end the transitional arrangements and get into an elected government.
When you say you have been telling your colleagues, who are you referring to here?
All the parties that signed the peace agreement.
A boy who was born on the 9th of July in 2011, he was now turning 13 on the same day. What would you tell that little boy? Just to know.
Yeah, I will tell him exactly what I am saying, that this what is happening, the society is in now, is not what was intended to be. It is an aberration. So what he needs to do, the child at 13, first of all, he must strive hard, he or she must strive hard to get to education. Without education, there is no future. So we need to educate them. They must get educated, because education is the weapon which will help him or her in life. Now, the role of the government or the politician is to see that this education is a quality education. We cannot be investing. We cannot be investing in sending children abroad. Now, how many people, South Sudanese families, have their children abroad? We should not give the impression that our schools here are for people who cannot send their children abroad. If we had quality education, I don't think anybody will go and spend money in Kampala or in Nairobi or in other places. We should prioritize education. This is not a joke. What is it that the Ugandans have and the Kenyans have that we don't have? We have well-educated people. We have the resources. Why is it that we cannot We cannot have a quality education that can be coveted by all the neighboring countries. Why is it that it is this way, not that way? I remember when we were in the University of Khartoum those years, we were having students from all over Africa and the world. It is because of the quality. So if you have a good educational quality, you can attract, people to come and join your system. So the one thing we tell that child is to take up education, whatever it is, whatever education is available, they take it up, because this is what will qualify him or her for the future.
The parents should also support them.
Second, they are half of the present and all the future, these children. Therefore, they must concern themselves about what is around them, how things are going. They should do that. Number three is that he is just one out of many South Sudanese. So he should think beyond himself or herself, beyond a small family, beyond the small environment he or she is, to think about the whole country.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. LAM AKOL, the chairperson of NDM, one of the signatories to the Revitalized Peace Agreement, for accepting our request, and thank you for the hospitality.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, that brings us to the end of an interview with Dr. LAM AKOL. My name is Emmanuel Joseph Akile, and I'm with Lo Nelson. Bye for now.